and setting the standard. You know, if you have a principal that expects the students to be their best and also have a school that is working towards being its best, when students come through the door, they know that what is expected of them.
That's the one feeling that everybody who visits us knows and feels from the moment they walk through the door, is that this is the oasis of Southwest Philadelphia.
I think that Montessori really is a special school because you feel when you come in the sense of closeness. You really feel the sense of this extended family, that people care. And in the final analysis, children know when you care, human beings do. But when you care about them, when you want them to get a good education, when you have pride in that, then they have pride in that.
The building builds out. Because if you have a strong school in the neighborhood, you're creating strong kids. Those children go home and live in communities, and they influence the communities around them. Additionally, if you have a strong school, which is community driven, you can see that school becoming a beacon of light to the neighborhood.
The true measure of a nation is how it treats its young, right? And so I see what you're doing as God's work, because like if we don't do this, then the alternative is, it's going to continue to get worse.
So you know what? This works.
Right.
What about this is portable? How do I take what's happening here at Montessori Charter on Island Avenue? How do I make this work in other parts of the city, in other schools? How do I create this learning opportunity through this institution?
Get on board, little children, get on board. Little children, get on board. Little children, there's room for many more.
Even without the proper funding, I feel passionately, with the right partnerships, proper resources, there is nothing that will stand in the way of Philadelphia Montessori Charter School from becoming what I believe should be the model for urban education, not just for Philadelphia, but for this nation. There's a chapter in a book that I read for an inspired leadership class that I was taking, and the chapter was called Average is Over. And the authors talk about how we need to approach our lives in three ways. We need to come to our life, whether that's our career, our spouse, our parenting, our job, doesn't matter. We come to our life every day as an immigrant. You're paving your own way. You are the first to arrive in your family, and it's up to you to determine where that goes. The decisions that you make every day will pave your own way. You and only you will establish your footprint right here today. And second, you come to your life as an artisan. So if you were to create pottery or you were to do a painting, before you would sell that, you would sign your name to it. But you would only sign your name to something that you felt a level of pride with, where you felt like, I own this. This belongs to me. I've made my mark, and I will sign my name and deliver. And finally, you come to your life as a server, as someone who will go above and beyond to do right by others, just for the sake of doing right by others. As simple as those three words can be, average is over. Every single teacher, the hallway monitor. You can go downstairs in this school where we have a hallway monitor whose one main job is to make sure the kids are safe in the hall. But you find her downstairs reading with children because she doesn't have a minute to waste, and she knows that they don't have a minute to waste. So if everyone all the way to a hallway monitor believes that average is officially over, then we don't have an option but to be extremely successful.
When I was young, I went to Freedom Theater as a child, and they taught us to give our 100% and that no one would accept less. So I was taking acting classes and dance and singing. I am an actor and I do a little bit of dancing, a little bit of singing, But I learned that I had to be the best at what I was doing in order to be considered. I remember as a child performing with a group of children and always wanting to be up front. And in order to get up front, you had to, I would make a lot of faces while I was dancing. And even if I wasn't the best dancer, I was like, I did a lot of things to say, look at me, look at me. And unless I did that, I was in the back. So I've always, from a child, wanted to be in the front. And in order to do that, you had to make sure that you were not average. Average was over. I learned at a young age.
Listen.
Hello, you've reached the voicemail box from Ruby Bridges. I'm sorry I'm not available to take your call, but if you would be kind enough to leave your name, your number, a brief message, I promise I'll return the call. Thank you.
See? That's me for myself. I would say midway through high school that I no longer wanted to just be. I didn't want to just exist. I wanted to be something. Didn't know what that something would be. But I wanted to remain relevant and wanted to remain a person that made a difference, as well as a person who would be able to take care of myself in future, a family and whatnot. So I would say high school and what I saw at home, what I saw in my community, those things changed my mind and made me realize that I wasn't cut out to be average. I was cut out to be extraordinary. I was cut out to be great. And I say that because Dr. King has a strong and powerful quote that everyone can be great because everyone can serve. And as an elected official, I follow that mantra every day that I'm great, but I'm not great because of me. I'm great because I have the opportunity to serve.
Average was good enough for me. When I was in high school, my parents fought it because they always knew I could do better. But come on, I was a charmer. In my speeches, I tell the true story of getting involved in student government in junior high school at Shaw Middle School and having a French teacher named Ms. Goodgow. And all of the meetings around student council, student government, all the meetings took place third period French class. And I could get excused. So I missed so many days of French. And my mother worked, said, how you gonna pass this and you? No problem. Got B's and A's in French. Look at the high school and take French. Guess who my French teacher is? Miss Goodgow. She's still there. Same thing. Now I'm editor of the newspaper. There's a cast I can cut French. And I can go to Western and go to the newspaper office, played football, the whole thing, right? Last period was French. We had a football game, you miss French, go to practice. So I had 5 years of French. I'm now, fast forward, the rising star in the Pennsylvania House of Representatives in the General Assembly. I'm the man. And I get this call from a representative from the State Department who tells me there's a delegation of folks from Togo who are coming to the U.S. and they want to see democracy at work. And we'd like to know if you would like to entertain them, for 2 days and show them how, the politics, and election day was in there too, tell you operate election day. Man, you talk me? Yeah, you got this. You got the right guy. Get everything cleaned up. That day, we're literally standing in the doorway, waiting for the van to pull up. And the van pulls up, and the first person that gets off the van says, "Comment allez-vous?" Parlez-vous français?
Couldn't answer.
5 years, okay? 5 years. 5 years I had French. And I couldn't communicate with them. I had no excuse. I could have related to them in a whole different way. How impressed would they have been
Mighty.
Okay? That they found someone active in politics who was respected enough that the State Department would hand you over to him, and he speaks our language. He can communicate with us. I blew it. Okay? So, was there a moment where it was not acceptable? Yes. And it was the transition from working with the high school leader to the brother on the street. But what I realized what I lost through that mediocrity was the day I could not speak to my brothers in their language when I had 5 years to learn it.
Average was never the rule for me. It's very striking. It's only a few words, but it means so much. You know, I grew up in public housing, born in public housing. You know, I was blessed during those days. We had 2 parents, and we still lived in a community that Bill Cosby talks about, and every parent called out to their kids at 5. You know, for us it was Sonny, Sissy, Janie, Trisha, come on, time to eat. And we still had that whole sense of family. My father always said, you've got to get an education. Somehow, I don't remember not knowing that as you get life, you have to do something with it. And doing something with it has to mean, as you decide who you are and what you are, that you're unique, you're different, you're special, and you have to do something. You know, some people always know who they are. Of course, I joined every Future Teachers of America club from junior high to high school and, you know, college for teaching. And I always wanted to be a teacher, never considered politics. But in life, even when I wasn't sure who I was, where I fit, what life around me meant, I knew that I wanted to make a difference, and I knew that I wanted to somehow serve, make a difference in this life, and that doing something for others was important. If young people look within themselves, they will realize that average is over, that if you have breath and you have a spirit and you have a soul, that you've got to do something with that, and that is outstanding. It's never average, because whatever you have that uniquely was gifted to you, that by the Creator, that makes you different than everybody, and that makes you above everything and everybody else, because nobody can do anything the way you can do it.